You are now tuned in to the TRUENORTH.BET podcast, and I'm your host, Brandon Graham, and I'm pleased to be back with you all. It's about to be great. It's about to be a lot of hot takes. I have a lot to say. I have a lot to say about a number of things that has to do with the NFL, in the NBA. This is the TRUENORTH.BET podcast, always a bet in the right direction. I'm your host, Brandon Graham. You can find me on Instagram at G_JB, Twitter at Graham_JB. You already know what it is. See me on TikTok, TrueNorth.bet. You already know what it is, but let's get into it. We have NBA playoffs popping off right now. We got the NFL draft coming up really soon. But my goodness, something about the NBA, whether it's going in the playoffs, just the buzz about the playoffs, teams fighting for playoffs. In the middle of the season, it gets really, not necessarily the most engaging in the middle of the season. There are some times, especially if your team is not in contention of being a playoff contender or an NBA championship contender, where you can kind of lollygag and lose sight of a lot of what's happening in the league. And just to start, we have to start and get into the NBA plane. Of course, DeRozan, the daughter of DeMar DeRozan, got a chance to get in there, scream her lungs out, skip school, and still send the Toronto Raptors home packing. So they didn't even make it to the likes of playing the Miami Heat in the playing game. Miami Heat right now are up on the Milwaukee Bucks. Of course, Giannis Antetokounmpo being out, having this back issue. There's so many things going on in NBA. In general, I'm going to get into it because I think it's the most exciting thing to get into right now. But there's so many storylines that I can pretty much pop into, and then we're going to get into it all. But the NBA playoffs, there's something about the first round and the second round of the playoffs that just, especially coming off of the heels of March Madness, something about this game that's just different. It's just different buzz, high stakes, best of four, the best players in the NBA all together playing at a high level. I myself, as a Raptors supporter, did not understand or didn't think that I'd enjoy the NBA playoffs as much, seeing that the Raptors are going to be out of it, right? Those years where the Raptors are out of it, still enjoyed it, but it still kind of thought as though the Raptors could be in there and making some damage. But now, understanding the Raptors do not have the pieces capable of competing for a championship, and seeing them bow in pretty much the play-in tournament right against the Chicago Bulls, where they're up 18 points and they go 18 for 36 from the line. Just despicable performance there. But we'll see what happens next year with them. Changes have to happen in the offseason. Need to get a guy that can just simply get buckets. Need to change up some form of what's happening. Probably Ime Udoka steps in. Who knows if Nick Nurse stays? There's so many questions. There's so many things that must be addressed in the offseason by Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri, and they're going to have to do that. But let's get right into it. We have the first round of the playoffs. Oh, my goodness. It's such a good time. 4-5 in the Clippers and the Phoenix Suns. We got the Golden State Warriors going up against the Sacremento Kings. This is the first time since I believe 2002 where the Sacramento Kings are actually in the playoffs. The first time they actually got a win. And one thing that really reminds me, one thing that I really see when I watch the Golden Arena or Golden Center in Sacramento, and these are two North California teams going up against each other, is the energy in the building. This is a fan base that has not seen their team go anywhere or do anything with it for the better part of 2 decades. In the days of Vlade Divac, Vidak, Peja Stokovich, you can even go, white chocolate when it comes to Jason Williams, Mike Bibby. The list goes on. It's good. Christie, all those guys. Just seeing this can happen in real time, seeing exactly what's transpiring. It's incredible. And on a Monday as well, too. I know it started with a Saturday, and then now we have Monday games. But the mere fact that the Sacramento Kings are in the playoffs, the energy is really reminiscent of what the Toronto Raptors are like. Okay, I'll say that one more time. It's really reminiscent. And then right now you see these two teams going up against each other. Sacramento being the 3 seed in the West. They played great all year. You could even say the coach Johnny Calipari having Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox ball out, 2 Kentucky Wildcats doing their thing in the NBA right now as the 3 seed. They balled out. To do that in the Western Conference is beyond me. The fact that they did that this year, crept underneath the radar, had Sabonis. You have Harrison Barnes. You have all these guys playing at a high level. You got, the guard coming off the bench, pretty much the glove from Baylor doing his thing as well too. You have all of these guys playing their butts off from the tip in this particular game down to the wire, and it's just incredible to see his entire team kind of put it together. Donovan Mitchell, right? Seeing this team put it together. Donovan Mitchell, Davion Mitchell, sorry, is the rookie. Not the rookie, he's actually a second-year player now that can clamp any guard in the sense. Essentially, his nickname is Off Day because he gives his opponents off days, right? Winning the championship in college at Baylor. All right, with a number of guys that he's played with, number of guys they've done this with. But let me say that one more time. The energy in the Golden One Center in Sacramento is reminiscent of the Air Canada Center in the 2014, 2015, the times where Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan were getting the Raptors to the playoffs, doing damage, having the higher seed against the Brooklyn Nets, having the higher seed against the Washington Wizards, so on and so forth, playing their butts off. That the energy throughout those years that the DeRozans, the Kyle Lowry's cultivated, Amir Johnson's cultivated in that particular time, getting all the hype because it's a fan base that hasn't seen the championship, hasn't seen success from a certain squad. You become so hungry that you become the atmosphere in that arena is just ridiculous because they're hungry. Now you watch the Raptors after winning the championship with Kawhi Leonard, after doing what they did, you see the level and pretty much the energy's kind of creeped down. It's not the same as it used to be. And that's one thing I want to implore a lot of Raptors fans of what's transpiring. It's the fact that it's not the same anymore. You won a championship. Yes, you won a championship, but the energy is not like the Golden One Arena or Golden Center in Sacramento. They've not won anything. They haven't been in the playoffs in 20 years. And it's the most electric atmosphere in all of sports right now, bar none. Most electric atmosphere in all of sports. I can see it. I've been in those crowds in Toronto when it's going that nuts, and literally the crowd is winning the games against the Bucks, against these certain teams in the playoffs. Norman Powell's dunk playing against Paul George in Indiana. Like that the energy in that arena is the reason why everyone wanted to watch what's going on in Toronto. Having Jurassic Park, having all these things happen is what these other teams are now taking and kind of putting towards their own culture. Because in Sacramento right now, that's the best atmosphere. It's better than the Oracle Arena. It's better than what they've done in the past. It's better than that because they haven't won. They haven't been there. And this is kind of how Golden State was in the start of the Splash Brothers era. All this time going through what they did, it's the same thing. You don't win for a long period of time. You have a team winning. They're young. De'Aaron Fox is the clutch player of the year. I don't even think was even an all-star. Clutch player of the year, playing out of his mind under Mike Brown. Mike Brown coming from Golden State in Sacramento, doing his thing with this team. Incredible what he's done with these guys. Malik Monk being with the Lakers last year, getting out there, getting the contract with Sacramento, and just balling the backcourt from the UK. I don't care what Coach Calipari did in the tournament. This is a win for him. This is a win. This is a win for him. These two guys, Bam Adebayo, they're all on the same team back in college. These guys are the real deal. The real deal. De'Aaron Fox beat out DeMar DeRozan and Jimmy Butler to get the Kia Clutch Player of the Year, which is incredible. Sacramento didn't even get a primetime game for the better half of many, many years. It hasn't even happened. It's the first time they're on ABC or first time they're on a big television station in over 10, 15 years, they've said, on ABC. And that's the reason, because they haven't been good for this long. And now you're going to want to be in that arena because the energy in there is unmatched. People are going to watch. They're up 2-0 on the Golden State Warriors right now, beating them 114-106 in Sacramento. Seeing what happened with Draymond Green in the fourth quarter, stepping on Sabonis. Sabonis is an all-star as well too. So don't put some respect in his name. You have Sabonis, you have Harrison Barnes, you have Davion Mitchell, you have Kevin Huerter. Just executive of the year has to go to the Sacramento Kings. Executive. The GM there has done a great job. De'Aaron Fox. You have the Keegan Murray, who's out of Iowa, as one of the better rookies this year as well too, making the most threes in the entire out of any rookie ever, making the most threes. He's been incredible, and this team's been great under Mike Brown. Mike Brown's done it. I usually don't trust Mike Brown when it comes to going different teams and starting out, because he's done it before. He's left Golden State, gone to their teams, and failed. right? Playing, coaching LeBron, doing a lot of these guys, like not necessarily getting the best out of his team, getting somewhere because he had LeBron James, but not doing a lot. And now because he has this young team, he can mold them, he can kind of make them into what they currently are right now. They're playing lights out. They're all well conditioned. They're actually making it really tough on Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry is going to get what he gets, of course, every game. He's gonna score every single game. Klay Thompson's going to score every single game. But the fact that they let those guys go off and not let anyone else see the light of day, of course, and Andrew Wiggins at 19, Klay, uh, not simply 19, 22 out of Andrew Wiggins. You got 21 out of Klay Thompson, 28 out of Stephen Curry. But that's it. You have 13 from Gary Payton III. Then it's spread out 6, 4. So essentially what they're doing is they're shutting down everyone else. Jonathan Kuminga, Michael Green, Moses Moody. These guys didn't really have that many points. Draymond Green had 8 points, made 1-3. But the story of the game was Draymond Green, because a lot of these points are coming off of Draymond Green's distributing, his driving kick, his screenplay, his just facilitating on the offensive end and defensive end, being the leader that they absolutely need, being the reason why many of their championships have, not the only reason, but being one of the key cogs in this championship actually happening, or championship happening for the Golden State Warriors. Of course, you have the 2 best shooters of all time on your team, and two of the best, but Stephen Curry is the best of all time. But seeing what they're doing and stopping them in the Sacremento Kings is incredible. But going back to the entire situation that happened with Draymond Green stepping on Sabonis after Sabonis, the entire game, if you really think about it, initiated the contact. But before that, bumped into Draymond Green a few times in the game. They're playing really tough. Refs are letting them play, but Stephen Curry's going through a lot of screens. He's being held. Klay's being held. Draymond's being held. They're being pushed. They're going down. It's a really tough game. It's a really physical game, physical series thus far, and I love it. I love the fact that these refs are letting them play. But seeing that Draymond Green did, in fact, step on Sabonis' chest, and the fact that he was questionable today because they're looking at x-rays, so on and so forth, he was stepped on, which I believe is a little bit excessive. I think it's more so a play to get Draymond Green suspended, and he was suspended. He is going to be suspended for game 3, which is going to be a major blow to the Golden State Warriors getting that extra game, or getting that 1 game at home, which would be really tough now, which means a lot of young guys have to step up. DiVincenzo has to step up. Andrew Wiggins would have to step up. Kevon Looney, Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole only had 4 points in this game. I don't know what's happened to Jordan Poole. He's got to step up. Jonathan Kuminga's have to step up. All these young guys have to step up in order for this team to win and even it out. But because of Draymond Green's reputation, because of his bragocious, just very in-your-face personality, and I'm not going to be oppressive here and say that he's in the wrong for what he's done, because his edge, what he has, what Patrick Beverly has, Dylan Brooks, all these guys try to employ, is that tough guy mentality, that the alpha mentality on the court, because he can have guys talk to him and he can respond. He'll respond because he has 4 championships. He can say whatever he wants because he has the 4 championships. But seeing what he's done, and the fact that he's been kicked out of so many crucial games. Now, if you think about it, got kicked out of 2016 against LeBron James, right? Got kicked out of the Steven Adams situation. Got kicked out against last year against the Memphis Grizzlies. All of these games, it doesn't matter what it is. It's almost as though in some of these really crucial rounds, he gets kicked out because of his reputation. And it serves him well. He deserves this, because this is what he's done over and over. He's 33 years old. He's not going to learn. Many are saying this is the last time he'll be with the Golden State Warriors, and I have to agree. This would probably be the last year. They can't bring him back again, give him $90 million, and expect him to be the same player over the next few years. This is it. Let me quench my thirst, because a lot of these people aren't ready for this, as you already know. But that's the bottom line. This might be it for Draymond Green. This might be the last straw. They need to continue to have their young guys grow. They want to see exactly what Stephen Curry is doing. Klay Thompson, they might give him a veteran minimum at some point, because he's still a valuable player on the floor. He's still smart on both ends of the court. And don't get me wrong, you can see the way he plays and be Not necessarily a fan because of the way he is, very, very precocious, very in your face, very um kind of just really ignorant or just arrogance in general, but it's confidence, man. He's put in the work. He's working his body. He's worked on a lot of different things to stay in this league and be effective on this team, which with the best shooters of all time. He just won a championship last year. It's worked. It's worked with Steve Kerr and these guys. It's worked. But it's very tough to see exactly what will happen going forward. He's going to be suspended game 3. I think. Well, it'll be interesting to see how Sacramento responds on the road because they're really comfortable at home, but how they respond on the road. It's a really young team, haven't been in the playoffs before, first time in the playoffs for many of these guys. How will they respond? I know one team that know how they're going to respond tomorrow and going forward in this entire series. The Los Angeles Lakers as a 7th seed, perfect matchup against the Memphis Grizzlies. Perfect matchup against the Memphis Grizzlies for them. Perfect. They're going to win this series. I'm telling you right now, the Los Angeles Lakers will win the series. It's already over. It's already over. John Morant's injured. Pretty much has a broken hand. They said that he did tests on trying to unball socks. He couldn't unball socks. And you all know, hopefully you clean your socks, you dirty utes. But you know when you untangle your socks or unfold them, very straightforward to do one hand, to do 2 hands. He couldn't do that. So essentially his hand's broken. He's not going to play. They're not winning. They're not winning this next game. Dylan Brooks is not ready to step up and be that guy. Tyus Jones will step up. Jaren Jackson is the defensive player of the year. He's going to step up. Desmond Bane has to step up more. But they just have the matchups against this team. And sometimes in basketball, a lot of times in basketball, it's all about matchups. It doesn't matter what season you're in. If you can match up well against your opponent, the sky's the limit. Austin Reeves is him. He's that guy. He's that guy from Texas A&M, from the Arkansas area, but he wasn't going to be a 2-way player for too long. And that's exactly what LeBron James said. And he's not, because he can fill it up. Him, Rui Hachimura, Dennis Schroeder, Beasley, of course, when he's back. He's not back right now. But these guys, Anthony Davis is unstoppable. LeBron, my goodness, they have Russell, right? They have too many options to go to, especially with John Morant out. It's going to be too hard for the Grizzlies to keep up. They just can't. Plus, you have LeBron James, the cheat code of all cheat codes. And one thing with LeBron James, yes, he's taken HGH in the past. It's been documented. It's happened. But the fact that he's still so well conditioned against these guys and can go 4 quarters, no problem. That's a problem. It's over. It's over for the Memphis Grizzlies. It's over. Barbecue chicken. I just had barbecue chicken. Barbecue chicken. It's over. This series is over. You can stamp this right now. The Memphis Grizzlies will not win this series, and it's stamped, certified. They're getting sent home, getting packed, just like that firearm that John Morant had in his hand, getting packed. I'm amped. Another series that's been great is definitely the Phoenix Suns versus the Los Angeles Clippers. The series is tied right now. It's 1-1. Clippers still got one on the road. That's all they needed. Russell Westbrook goes 3 for 19, but plays big on the defensive end. They sneak out a win there at home. But you know that Kevin Durant and Devin Booker balled out. But you know that these guys are not going to just hold off and let these guys get 2 games at home. It's not going to happen. Devin Booker's actually in his bag. I think this is the best I've seen him play in the playoffs by far. He's ready to go. He just has his mindset. You can just see that he's just dialed in. He had 38. His plus minus was 15. 38 points today. Kevin Durant had 25. Torrey Craig at 17, going pretty much 5 for 8 from 3-point land. They just had it going today. Chris Paul had 16. They just had it going. They weren't going to. When you have a Torrey Craig going 5 for 8 from 3, you're not going to lose that game. If that guy's going to go off, shooting 6%, essentially 67% from the field, you're not going to lose. And that's exactly what they got. If you get 38 points from Devin Booker, good night. Good luck. Plus you have Kevin Durant. It was really scary in the second quarter because DeAndre Ayton got his 3rd foul, but still ended up with 15 and 10. Double easy. 15-10, double easy. Just one of those days. It's one of those days where they're just not gonna go. And 15 and 13 actually, not even 10. My bad. But they're going to be really tough to come out and get out. They're a 4 seed. This Western Conference it's essentially this entire playoffs is wide open, essentially wide open. I don't think Denver's the best team. I don't think they're going to be able to handle every one of these teams well. I think a lot of these teams can definitely bring it to Denver. They're not going to get out of the West. They're not getting out of the West. Minnesota's done for. Tyler Hero's hand is broken, but Jimmy Butler and those guys, beating the Milwaukee Bucks in the first game, Giannis Antetokounmpo with the back, that happening, tough, tough for sure. But it's I do think Miami can make a run, especially if guys like Middleton don't go off, don't get enough burn. It's going to be really tough for them to kind of stay up. But just everything I've spoken about is these NBA playoffs have been incredible. And it's the first time that Sacremento Kings and the New York Knicks in the past 20 years got their first win. New York Knicks beating the Cleveland Cavaliers in game 1. Jalen Brunson having a really good game. He's probably the most underrated player of all time. Think about it right now. Think about all the players that you've seen in the NBA and we known has been underrated. Of course, there's guys like Andre Miller. He's got an Andre Miller game, but I think he's the most underrated player of all time. Like he's a dog. Jalen Brunson's a dog. And everyone didn't believe in him when he got that big contract this past summer. Leaving from Dallas out of Luka's shadow. But he's put on. He's put on. Him and Julius Randle's perfect combination with the likes of RJ Barrett. You have Obi Toppin. The list just goes on of guys that are just simply serviceable on that team. They just have a number of guys that can play. Guard play is good. Of course, you got the guy, the kid from Houston last year, Quentin Grimes. He's done really well as well too. But Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson are a lot to handle. They didn't get out, Josh Hart as well too. It's pretty much the Villanova Knicks with Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart. They won a championship with the Villanova Wildcats, of course, Coach Jay Wright there. But they've put it together. RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson. They've got the team to do something, and I wouldn't be surprised if they steal another one at home. They're going home now. They lose to the Cleveland Cavaliers 107-90. Donovan Mitchell's the king of simply scoring around 40 points and simply losing. But the Cleveland Cavaliers today with Darius Garland, of course, Jared Allen, a number of these guys putting on and having a great show. Darius Garland had 32 and 7. Karis LeVert at 24. This team is just great. Donovan Mitchell had 17. Evan Mobley has a show up and he had 13 and 13. So he had the double himself. They're a great team. This is going to be a great matchup. And I think with that in mind, we don't have to care about the Boston Atlanta series. That's over. Minnesota, Denver, that's over. Everything else, it's on site. It's on site in the NBA playoffs. And it's like must-see TV because there's such good matchups. Brooklyn and Philadelphia is over. Brooklyn's not winning that. But every other matchup is on site. Teams have gotten the upper hand. I've gotten something on the road. So just remember, Boston, Atlanta, it's over. Philadelphia, Brooklyn, over. Lakers, Memphis Grizzlies, over. But still must-see TV because of all the crap that Dylan Brooks and those guys have spoke over the past few years. It's just a great, great time to watch NBA basketball, a great time to be a basketball fan, a great time to be a fan of sports in general. It's incredible, and I cannot wait to talk about it too. I don't know, just a lot more. With the NFL draft now shifting over there, we get a chance to see Jalen Hurts get a big time contract, I believe 5 years, close to 200 million, but not exactly 200 million. We're on close to 200 million, pretty much 200 million for the 51 guaranteed. I believe he just got a really good contract. And we all know the contract he has. Great contract. And I think now LeBron Jackson has to act because apparently he was offered $200 million by the Ravens. He has to bite the bullet and pretty much take it and go. But if we really think about it, in this NFL draft, a lot of people are saying that Bryce Young is going number 1. I don't know how that happens and how CJ Stroud bounces down, but that's what's happening. CJ Stroud is a redshirt sophomore, essentially a junior, just like Bryce Young. They're saying he's going number 2. Then we have Will Anderson going to the Arizona Cardinals. Buda Baker wanting out of Arizona, so that's going to be a rebuild there in Arizona with Kyler Murray. Interesting. Tyree Walker apparently going to the Houston Texans. Anthony Richardson to the Seattle Seahawks. the list goes on of guys. I really like Zay Flowers out of Boston College as a receiver. He's really good. Very, very, very good player. Bijan Robinson, really good player as well, too. A lot of great talent. Jackson Smith-Njigba going to the Green Bay Packers. That would be hilarious. I think Jackson Smith-Njigba was one of my favorite receivers out of the Ohio State University. The fact that if he goes to the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers is not there, that would be just ultimately hilarious because they actually draft a receiver, which would be so funny. And I'm actually here for it. I want to see the chaos. I don't want peace, just violence, always. You guys know that GIF, you definitely go on and see it. But Zay Flowers, keep an eye on this guy. He's a senior wide receiver at Boston College. Might be the most underrated receiver in this class. He just makes every play. He's incredible. I really think he can make a difference first year out. Jamar Gibbs out of Alabama, another guy that will make a difference first year out. There's so many skill players in this draft, and it would just go on and on. But with that being said, got into the NBA playoffs, got into the NFL draft briefly. I'm going to have a wrap up of the NFL draft fairly soon. Of course, once we see it, it's going to be great. We already kind of went through that initially, but this is the TRUENORTH.BET podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Graham. TRUENORTH.BET, always a bet in the right direction. Make sure to follow us on Spotify, follow us on SoundCloud, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, wherever you see us. We are there. Let's get it. This is the TRUENORTH.BET podcast. And of course, as always, make sure to keep balling.